Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 1987 film Uninvited, and it is certainly a so bad it's good film. So for that reason, I will be rating it two ways: as a film in the pantheon of all films and as a so bad it's good film. Obviously, that'll be at the end. Now, if you want to convince me otherwise, that this is actually like a just straight up good movie or a straight up bad movie, you can feel free to do that in the comments, and I encourage comments on all these reviews, especially the fun ones like this, where obviously the film shouldn't be taken too seriously, but go ahead and put some comments. Also, I'll just take the time to ask, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Quick, painless, costs you nothing, and keeps me motivated, literally. Also, hit the notification bell button, then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos. Anyway, let's talk about Uninvited. I watched it on Shudder, by the way. Oh, and also, it just so happened, I did not know that Clu Gulager was in this film. I was planning on reviewing this film this week, and Clu Gulager just passed away like days prior to me watching the film and taking notes and doing this video. So rest in peace, Clu. He was a great actor, and he was my favorite part of this film, to be honest. I mean, other than just like the wacky hijinks and being so ridiculous and so bad it's good, his performance was very delightful in this film, as was his performance in pretty much everything I've seen him in. So sorry that Clu is not with us anymore. Uninvited, written and directed by Greydon Clark, who also directed Satan's Cheerleaders, Without Warning, which I am planning on watching without warning, The Forbidden Dance, and Dark Future. Many ocean shots were done in Clark's swimming pool, apparently. That just, it says everything. He shot a lot of the ocean shots in his pool. Also, let's all just note that at the very end of the film, when the boat is actually sinking, it 100% looks like a fake boat that's just kind of like slowly going under. Pretty hilarious. Also, in the lifeboat at the end, how you can just tell that like people are just like moving the boat and they're just blowing so much water on them. It's clearly not realistic looking, but hey, it fits with the rest of the film now, doesn't it? The original script actually had a rat instead of a cat. I don't know why there was a switch. I think it probably works better as a cat, especially because then it makes sense for actually like, the people bringing it onto the yacht and kind of at first thinking, oh, it's just a cute cat. And then the horror that is inside of it kind of bursting forth and killing people. Not super horrific because of the design of the thing that pops out of it. I'm just going to call that the critter that pops out of it. But yeah, it was originally a rat. And I guess originally they probably were just like, and the rat just finds its way on the yacht because that's what rats do. Just speculating. The film has received the riff tracks treatment. Now, this is where I tell you, if you're not familiar with riff tracks, you need to be familiar with riff tracks. If you liked Mystery Science Theater 3000 back in the day, it's the same guys who are involved in that. They're doing current riffing on films like Uninvited, and you can just get it at rifftracks.com. I'm not like sponsored or don't have any affiliation. I just love it. I think it's hilarious. Like telling jokes over films that are terrible like this, awesome. Have not seen the Riff Tracks version of this, but I really want to after seeing this film finally. Although it's fun enough as is. Clark himself, Greydon Clark, actually played Dr. Gray in the beginning of the film. So if you wanted to know what he looked like, there he is. For some reason, the panning up of the building in the beginning of this film actually reminded me a little bit of the film Die Hard. Anyone else? Did it give him Die Hard vibes? Maybe it's just because it was showing a skyscraper in a certain way. It's just Die Hard on the mind. I don't know why. The overly dramatic music in the beginning is funny to me, especially matched with the cat situation, which seems actually more like the setup for a kids movie. Maybe a made-for-TV kids movie. Like, literally, this is one of those moments that you could, make that argument to people that music means a lot in film. Like, this overly dramatic music is telling you something's wrong, something's terrible with this cat. But if you just change the music in this situation, it's literally the setup for, like, a kids movie where, like, this cat's at the vet and someone's going to do something bad to it, and then it escapes, and it's hopeful for the cat at this point. Obviously until the point where the critter bursts forth from it and kills people, and there's A very nice amount of blood splattered all over the walls. Love that. The fake cat looks horrible, but the smaller critter that pops out of its mouth and the copious amounts of blood look cool. Um, Let me qualify that. Terrible cool is how they look. Let's say that. The fake cat itself and what the critter pops out of just looks terrible, terrible. Like it's not even. It's literally a stuffed animal that got butchered up for the purposes of this. And let's be honest, the critter that crawls out just looks a little bit better than a stuffed animal that they just took from some kid and modified a little bit. Um, Especially at the very end when it's like all wet in the water sitting on the briefcase. Ooh, like you can't even tell what it's supposed to be at that point. You can't even tell like necessarily what it looks like because it's all watered down and the design of it in the first place is kind of confused and not great. It's like a mix between like a cat, a rat, a bear, and a lion, I feel like is kind of how it looks to me throughout different moments of the film. It's something. I also like the shadow of the mutant cat doing its thing in the parking garage. When it was killing someone in the parking garage, the critter pops out of the cat. Like doing it in just shadow form against the wall actually looked really good. It was like an inspired moment of the film. And that kind of takes me to something else about the film, which is I actually don't think it looks bad. Like from a directorial cinematography standpoint, like it doesn't look bad. Also, I didn't think the acting was too terrible. Like typically films like this, you'll get even worse acting, but not bad acting to be honest. So it looked good, not bad acting, but it's just like a wacky film. So it actually had some like decent film related things going on. Filmic's probably not even a word to be honest. Anyway, I like how they work some blackmailing scheme into this whole thing. You're like, because obviously like they don't want to just make the story about the cat, and obviously they take the angle of the bad people will die, which is obviously something that really in the 80s was the big thing, especially with horror films, where if you're a bad person in this film you're going to get killed somehow by whatever evil is at work within the film. So they go that route with Walter and Mike and Albert and the guy they off, all those people um, being bad people. So therefore, they're going to get it from the cat. And for the most part, the good seeming people stay alive unless they start messing with the cat. And then to the cat, they don't seem like a good person. They get him. Daryl didn't understand that it's common sense to doubt his dealings with shady people in private, not in front of them. I feel like that's shady dealings 101, where like you don't second guess the illegal activity you're getting into in front of the people that you're engaging in the illegal activity with. You do that privately and either don't show up to that meeting or just get through that meeting and then decide to do something about it much later. Like the fact that he's just like doubting it on the spot in front of them, it's like, did you think they were going to let you live? Did you think they were just going to be like, oh, okay, well then in that case, all good, not worried about you saying anything to the authorities or anything like that. Pause for horror hydration. Talking about this mutant cat thing, it's getting me thirsty. So it appears the cat only goes after bad guys, as is evidenced by the robbers in the beginning who are getting killed in the truck. Those guys, like that's your first inclination or your first establishment that the cat will, for the most part, only kill bad people. And the reason it went after the robbers was because one of them killed the person who was feeding it. So if you're nice to the cat, you're going to be okay. Which in the end, I'm assuming what was happening is the reason the cat didn't continue to come after the two individuals in the boat, Martin and Rachel, is because they gave it that basically like that life raft in essence. So then it was kind of like, okay, I'm safe for now. I don't need to go after them. Because it kind of seemed like it was, and I think they theorized that it was trying to get into the boat to kind of save itself in a sense, and then they ended up fighting it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far with this one. All the characters seem pretty simplistic, so you're kind of hoping the cat attacks them all. I was hoping for total cast kill. I was hoping the cat would take out everyone, because that's the bread and butter of a film like this. You want to see those kills. You want to see how ridiculous it is. You want to just keep seeing the ridiculous looking critter from inside the cat because it makes you laugh. Made me laugh. I enjoyed it quite a bit for that reason. Pretty ridiculous that Walter's going to use the youngsters as crew for his yacht. That did seem a little bit weird. Like, I get in the beginning why he was, like, inviting them. He invited the girls because he's like, hey, good-looking ladies. Then they invite the guys, and then he's just like, okay. He's in a bad situation. They have to get out of there, obviously, because the feds are onto him. So he's like, let's make the best out of the situation. And he just, like, assigns them crew. Well, Mike assigns them crew positions. But he's just like, fine, you're the crew. They don't really do any crewing because obviously they're more concerned with A, partying first, and then B, surviving and fighting the cat thing. The critter, I'll say. Bobby, female name, is eager to please Walter while the guys want to be at odds with the person treating them to a good time for some reason. That really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but, you know, with a so bad it's good type film, I guess you would say it doesn't matter when things don't make sense. But it didn't make sense to me that the guys were being so confrontational with Walter and Mike, because it's like, literally, this is a rich guy who's having you on his yacht. You're going to be drinking his booze, eating his food, living in his quarters, like all this stuff. And they, like, not from the get-go, they're just like trying to be at odds with him. And you're just like, this doesn't make sense. It makes sense how the women are, because they're just like, hey, we're here for a good time. This guy's going to give us a good time, basically. Let us use his super awesome looking yacht, which was a nice looking yacht. So that just was weird to me. Just speaks to how bad the characters are. Martin seems like the odd man out, since Suzanne and Bobby seem to couple up with Lance and Corey early on, but then we realize, oh yes, Rachel is a smart, nerdy type of individual, so therefore Rachel and Martin shall gravitate to one another, and they do, because she's smart, she knows what's going on, she's got a cool, calm head. He is also the same way, because he's the science guy, something I talked about in the review for The Deadly Spawn, and you know that all the investigating, all the important information about the evil there is going to come from the science guy, which I think he was just like in school for biology, so all of a sudden that makes him qualified, which I think was the same for The Deadly Spawn, actually, so there's a connection there, but yeah. You know Albert's going to get it when he's mean to the cat, when he was getting that wine and he like spits it on the cat. Then he waits to die once the thing starts coming at him. Like, literally, it's one of those situations where, like, things are getting crazy and he just stands there. Like, he's literally waiting for the moment for that thing to rip him apart. And I was sad. I was just like, Clu Gulager's gone this early on, and I liked his character as much as I did, especially his drunk acting I thought was particularly funny. So I felt like we got shafted on that one. We needed more Clu Gulager in this because he was the best character by far, but he gets off by the cat, as suspected. I like how Walter and Mike don't even try to placate Rachel when it comes to Albert going overboard. They're just like, they literally say this, Mike literally says this, well, he's shark bait now. Like, the whole time, Walter and Mike don't even really try to keep up appearances. They don't really try to mask the fact that there's something bad going on with them and that they're bad people. Like, they're very gruff, they're very whatever. I guess it's because they feel like they have these people captive. But at some point, you're going to get to your destination, which they were saying the Caymans. Then what? Were they planning on killing these people? Maybe. But, like, at least, like, keep things chill and cool while you're on the boat until you get to your destination. They just didn't understand that concept. I guess they've just been extreme bad guys for so long that it's just in their DNA. Biology guy Martin is on the case using the sextant as a microscope. Good use. You know he'll have theories about the cat much later, which he does, which I don't really understand how he has these theories. He must be like super biology student in college. Just saying. Mike really goes from 0 to 60 when he just shoots Lance when Lance is having a scuffle with Walter. You'd think that he'd actually try to not draw attention to himself. This is what I was just saying. It goes along with that where, you know, bad guys being overly bad guys, you would think they'd try to tone it down. No. He sees a bit of a scuffle going on, immediately just pulls out a gun and shoots someone. Mike, You're a loose cannon, brah, and everyone knows you'll die for it. I do love the babbling that Walter does when Suzanne ends up holding a gun on him in the captain's deck. That was a nice, funny acting moment. He's just like, I can't replicate it, but watch the movie. It was well done in a ridiculous way. I do like the escalation of things when Mike has all of his insides like bulging all over the place after the cat attacks him. I guess it was supposed to be it was something like blood, something going on with his blood, like the mutation going on. It was like passed on. If you're not actually killed, then like this happens, and then you eventually do die. Looked painful, looked terrible. It was like horribly done, but I like that they put a little extra to it. It's not just the cat scratches you up and kills you. Now it's the cat can scratch you up and not kill you, and then eventually you'll get killed by this, I guess, expanding blood syndrome is what I would call it. Yeah. I like when Walter tries to bribe Corey and he says, quote, somehow I don't trust you. Well, duh, Corey. What was your first tip off? The fact that you got to a point where you're holding a gun on someone? And then he's just like, I don't know. I just don't, somehow I don't think I trust you. What would make you think you don't trust him? Maybe the whole rest of the movie that happened, Corey? It just speaks to how, like, stupid these characters are. The scene where Lance and Bobby realize the cat is gnawing on Lance's hand because Lance can't feel anything after he was shot. Hilarious. It looks ridiculous, and it was unexpected. So it's this nice, unexpected, ridiculous looking, so bad it's good surprise. Love that moment of it because I wasn't expecting it. And I'm like, hey, whenever you throw an unexpected hand gnawing by a mutant cat critter, I'm down for it. Sorry, horror hydration. Real dry throat today for some reason. When Suzanne was having her meltdown saying they're all going to die, I was like, dude, I hope so. When she was saying it's like, we're all going to die, she's having her meltdown. People are trying to reassure her. I was like, I hope she's spot on. I hope all of you are dead. I already talked about that. The characters are terrible. You don't feel close to anyone. Maybe Martin and Rachel a little bit, but for the most part, I just did not care about anyone. I wanted everyone to get it. I wanted as many kills as possible, with as much creativity as possible, with as much ridiculousness as possible. Got some of that. Didn't get enough of it, though. Wanted more. Corey's death scene is probably when you get the best look at the critter itself. And you also see it crawl back into the cat's mouth. That's the first and only time you actually see it going back in, like that actual moment, which I think was cool. I think they should have utilized that a little bit more because there's like this added horror, this added grossness to the fact that it's crawling back into the body that it just popped out of. So I like Corey's death for that. Other than that, Corey's death wasn't that great, to be honest. I like how everyone starts treating Walter like just one of the guys, one of the group, after he was already revealed to be a threat. Like they were already holding a gun on him for a little bit of time, and then it just feels like a little bit of time passes, and they're just back to being like, yeah, he's just one of the group, just chit-chatting with him and stuff, and acting like they're all in this together in a normal way. And I was just like, he's still a pretty big threat to you guys. I mean, at this point, Mike's gone, so that's fine. Like, he was the worst of the worst, but Walter's still a problem, you guys. So just another thing about the bad writing. They're just like, oh, we forgot that he's a problem. Really? Because you were just holding a gun on him. Suzanne should have known to trust Martin about the food and saying that you shouldn't eat it. He's a science guy. She violated one of the main rules of films like this, where you always listen to the science guy. The science guy will guide you properly. So she's too hungry. She thinks everyone's going to die anyway. She eats it, and then she has her meltdown. Her, like, what was I calling it? The blood... I forgot what I was even calling it. The blood expansion disorder or whatever. Dang, I already forgot it. I thought it was pretty solid. I wanted Walter to die in a more grandiose and satisfying way. His death was just a letdown, let's be honest. And especially for being, like, the main bad guy and, like, the big bad dude who everyone's thinking this guy's going to get it eventually and hopefully he gets it in good, grandiose fashion. It just didn't pay off. And so, like, he just gets killed underwater. Like, you just see him struggling and there's some blood with, the critter there. I mean, I wanted something better. I want something like maybe a little bit like what happened to Mike, but further. Like go bigger, take it up a notch, but just didn't get it. The showdown with the critter in the lifeboat is the best awful moment in the film, 100%. It looks so terrible and so fake, and I love it. It was probably, other than Gulager's performance, it was, not going to say probably, it was hands down my favorite moment of the film. It looks so terrible, but I laughed at it. I loved it. I literally rewound it then and made my wife watch it, and she was not watching the movie with me. I made her come in the room and watch it. I'm like, this shows you how bad this film really is. And she was like, wow. I was like, yeah, great, isn't it? But then here's the question. Where was the sequel? Why did we not get the sequel that they set it up for at the end of this? Where the little kid on the beach picks up that black cat, and then it's just like, duh, music, and a freeze frame on the cat. And it's telling you, this cat's the same. Come on. I mean, I guess it's not too late. We could still get an Uninvited. Is Greydon Clark still alive? I don't know. Maybe get to work on that, Greydon Clark, if you see this. I would be down for an Uninvited sequel. Which, name it something else. I don't think the title was all that great. Just don't. I think they use the cat's meow too much in this film. It's always the same meow, and they use it way too much. Like, we really don't need it that much. It really just gets annoying, but, you know, it's a so bad it's good film, so it's kind of like, eh. But it annoyed me, for the record. The music in the film is something. Lots and lots of keyboard, which is pretty typical for this kind of like late 80s, early 90s time period for films. Not so much horror films in the way that they had it constructed within this film. It seemed more of like a, I don't know, like made for TV movie-ish or like a Miami Vice or Baywatch-ish. I don't know. Something in that vein. But it seemed mismatched. It was weird, but I was just like, lots of keyboard. But hey, so bad it's good. And then I'm going to repeat it. Clu Gulager's performance as Albert is one of the best things about the film. Rest in peace again, Clu. So, I got to rate this 2 ways. So, out of 5 stars with half stars in play as like a straight up film, I mean, it's a half star. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. But as a so bad it's good film, I give 3.5 stars. I think it's a 3.5 star so bad it's good film. But if you feel differently, let me know. Go ahead and put in the comments any way you want to feel. Or if you just want to talk about horror in general, that's fine. Like I said, subscribe to my channel, please. Hit the notification bell button, please. All that jazz. But regardless, I really do thank you for taking your time to watch this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.